I see neons green, red roses too. I watch them swim for me and you, and I sing to my friend, what a wonderful show. I see betters blue and angels white, green growing plants and deep living sands, and I sing to my friend, what a wonderful show. The colors of the rainbow, as pretty as can be, are also on the guppies that dance for you and me. I see friends coming in, saying, let's talk about fish. They're really saying, I love you. I hear water splashing. I watch it flow. With Father Fish I learn there's so much more to know. And I sing to my friend, what a wonderful show. I sing to my friend, what a wonderful show.
Simply marvelous. First of all, I just wanted to thank everybody from the Father Fish community for being so kind to me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you, Aquatic Conquest. Delightful. That is so nice. Such a brilliant piece of work. Here she
And
is.
you did a good job singing too, Father Fish. It was lovely.
Thank you.
It absolutely was. I was singing along with you in the background.
I was doing this.
So yeah, right.
I always love the part where you say, I love you.
So you
Well,
had to
Mary,
you get your golden tresses
are
on.
you ready?
I'm ready. Yes, I was having a terrible hair day yesterday. I had to do something, so
I missed a step, so you're more put together than me.
Goodness.
I was telling Cassie, I was like, I'm trying to get ready.
It's hard for us. I got to get the kids to school, so I lose that time.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I get back home, it's like coffee, Father Fish.
CFL bulbs. What's CFL?
That's what I was looking at.
Romans. What is
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Cass? You're the engineer among us.
Oh, what, the CFL bulbs? Those are just like regular fluorescent bulbs.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Okay. Ceiling floor.
See, this is why you don't advertise you're an electrical engineer, because then you get all these questions.
Great. Oh, my electrical engineer, is that your background?
Yeah, I went to school for electrical, and I was working. Do you want to know where I worked?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay. I worked at Northrop Grumman until I had my first child, and then I left.
So where was that, in Florida?
Yeah, it was in Orlando.
Oh, okay. So
And then we went through that period of layoffs and so on, and it wasn't fun anymore to be there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay home.
Take care of my baby.
Take care of my baby.
Right.
And I've been doing that ever since.
Well, it seems to be working out well for you. You make a wonderful mother.
Now my husband wants me to go back and teach high school.
Yeah, you probably would love it, actually.
I told him, do you know they would put me out in the remedial classes? I'd have to earn my way up the ladder, and I just don't know if that's worth it.
Well, do it in a private school.
Well, there's not much around here in
Is that right?
this area.
Compact fluorescent. There we go. The curly.
I worked on
bulbs.
laser target designators.
Laser target designators. Mercy. So who was that? Morgan was that Morgan? Yeah, Roman. Roman was saying he's using CFL bulbs. Are they incandescent, or are they the LED incandescent?
Well, they make them now where they're LEDs, and they're made to fit inside the same.
Screw in, yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
but so it depends. If he's saying CFL, I would just think that's the fluorescent tube.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's all I ever use, frankly.
I think they're fine.
I will put in an order for F10s. I mean, for fives. I'll order them from Hamilton, which manufactures a series of T5s that are different spectrums. I'll get the reds and the blues. They have two different blues, and the 10Ks, 10K, 6K, and 6K, and some of the others. And I use those because I've got a lot of T5 fixtures, and it's just as cheap to get them as it is to get them from Lowe's or Home Depot. And it's a bit better spectrum, but as with the new LEDs coming on, the 4-foot LED strips, I've got more and more of those, and I like them. They certainly grow plants. They're pretty inexpensive. You can get a 10-foot, a 4-foot LED strip for under $10, and it'll be enough to light up a 55-gallon tank. So can't get cheaper than that. And if it doesn't hold up more than 6-8 months, it's still a good deal. They are not impervious to water or even evaporation. They tend to rust out pretty easily. So that's not a design flaw, I think, so much as it's um, a misuse flaw. I think they're not intended for putting on top of fish tanks, but they are effective, and I like them, and I use them pretty extensively.
Excellent. Alex is asking me, what did he say? Cass, like the time delay and feedback of painting a target and tracking distance and speed. And I said, yeah, but the equation was already done by somebody, some smart person. So I didn't deal with that. That was already provided. But that's what we did. I worked with the VHDL code.
Huh.
It was really kind of silly stuff, but nothing too, I don't know. Whatever they told me they wanted to do, that's what I did.
Right. So what else you
pretty-
got there? Let's see. Was it Tisha had a question about Tetris? Yep. What was that?
She did at 8:03. She said she knows she has the 5-gallon tank. She wants to know, after adding the 1 inch of sand and adding more plants, how many Ember Tetras can she add to her tank?
Well, now, Ember Tetras, pretty tiny little guys. Tisha, how many would you like to add to your tank?
Well, she has 5 right now, so I'm thinking she wants more than 5.
Well, I think what you really can do in this kind of situation is you can get a number in your head that makes sense in terms of the look that you want to achieve or the behavior. These are not schooling fish. They don't come together as a group. At least maybe not until they become quite a large group. I've had them in my tanks. I've had 20, 30 at a time in 15-gallon tanks with a few other species of very tiny tetras. And they don't school. They stay kind of in their own little territory. They don't come together that way, which you might expect them to do. The way neons do, for example. Neons are a schooling tetra. You get 20 neons in a tank, and they will swim together. I've not noticed that with these guys. So what you want to do is get in your mind the the kind of look, the kind of appearance you want to have, and determine what that number is. If it is it 10, is it 20? I wouldn't go over 20, not in a 5-gallon tank. I probably wouldn't even go that high, really. You could probably do 10. I mean, I could just, say offhanded, you can do as many as you want, but it is important to be reasonable, I suppose. And it's a tiny tank. That's a little tiny tank. That's not a big tank at all.
How big did it get, Fatherfish?
Pardon?
How big do they get, the embers?
Oh, they don't get an inch, half an inch, a little better.
Someone in the store told me they get up to an inch, and I was like, really? That's big
I don't think
for an
quite.
ember.
Uh, Alex is on here. He would know.
Is it possible there's like a larger variety, and maybe they're not really embers if they're getting that big?
Oh, I don't think so. Alex, how big do ambers get? Roman's talking about placebo food. That's funny.
I think people also think with the planted tanks we can get away with adding more fish.
Well, it's true you can because it provides more cover for fish. Um, they're not chock a block up against each other. They gotta plant to separate themselves from the other width.
Yeah.
So you
Alex,
really can.
he says they get an inch.
He says
Like
an inch. Okay.
Oh, Sharpie's the same 3/4.
My window's open. It's cold.
Yeah, up to an inch, probably. Yeah, I've only had them half an inch, maybe a little better than half an inch.
Okay.
Let's see. At 8:17, Mike Fritz has a question about golden Chinese algae
Well-
eater.
Tisha had a follow-up question.
Okay, sorry.
Would you mind finishing
Yes,
her
please.
answer or her question?
Sorry about that.
Sure.
She was saying, I would like to add a nearite and some shrimp also. Would that be?
Absolutely. Yeah, not a problem at all. You could even have 2 or 3 nearites
Mhm.
and 3 or 4 or 5 shrimp. In a 5-gallon tank, I wouldn't do more than 5 or 6 very tiny fish of a species. And maybe two, maximum 3 species. That gives you a lot of really little fish in a 5-gallon tank. But if it's well planted, it will not look overcrowded. Curiously, if it's not planted, it'll look crowded. If it's not planted, it won't. That's just kind of the visual aesthetics. Um, the other thing to watch out for is as fish become mature and move into breeding kinds of behaviors, they tend to be somewhat territorial, at least around other fish. So that can become a behavioral problem in a small tank. So you just kind of keep your eye open for that kind of issue. I like having a small tank with that's kind of maxed out fish wise with a lot of plants. I think it looks really nice, and I think the fish behave pretty normally in that kind of environment. That's the way they live in the wild. Um, in a very healthy environment, the population of fish will be high, and if it's a well planted environment, then there'll be a lot of them living in that planted environment.
Mhm. She wanted to do like adding more rasboras. Would like in a what is it, a 5? Could she do 5 embers and 5 rasboras? I'm just not sure after what I listened to.
I think that would be all right. Rasboras are a pretty gentle fish. They get a little bigger. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
I need to take a break here a minute. If
All
you
right.
girls want to hang on, I'm sorry about this.
Okay.
No problem. Well, hang on.
You're all right.
Be right back.
There's another one at, you probably saw it, but at 8.
I got
19
819
from-
one. If you wanted to ask the one you were going to ask.
Yeah,
Again.
Alex is also responding to Tisha, talking
Okay.
about adding gradually. That's really good advice. Do it slowly. He also said it'll give you more numbers. So he's suggesting in a planted tank that they will spawn in, you'll get babies. Um, so that's certainly a consideration. Thank you, Alex. Right back.
Alex, where can we find those microrasboras and the chilies and the neons that you're mentioning? I know I don't see them in my local fish store. Maybe if Mary came down and opened up a store. Oh, you're still muted.
Oh my goodness. It would be wonderful. It would be, but I would need like you and Alex and Chubbs, all these Joey and everybody here in the show. I'd need all of y'all to come help me.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have to be a community effort.
Exactly. I would definitely love to come down there. I mean, we're talking, but it would be quite a.
I hope you do, Mary. I hope you get the courage to pack your bags and come on down.
I am getting to that retirement age. I need to go to Florida. Let's see.
Come live near me. I need a mom who lives nearby.
There's Roman 2 at 8:22. I'm so
family. I'd be like, that's the selfish side of me. Say, Mary, move by me.
I would want to, believe me.
You'd be my adopted mom.
Oh, that is so sweet. I would take you for sure. I don't know. I think you've got me outdone though on the smarts department. I don't know. The one.
That stuff is like buried deep in there. It's like trying to dig it back out. It might be hard.
How long has it been now since you did do that? It's been.
I think it'll be coming up on 11.
Is it?
11 years. It's been a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, I
still have all my files though.
I heard you asking, Cass, as I was leaving, Alex, where can we find those?
Yeah.
Those are fish that I carry routinely. So you need to take a hike over to the western shore.
Do you carry all the nano ones too?
I do. I always have.
You know, I'm coming. I'm coming soon. I'll be there in a few weeks, Father Fish.
I just got a big order of scarlet batis.
Ooh, nice.
There's another. Yeah, I've got like 20 of them, and I had a group before that, so it's a fish I really, really enjoy. So I've got a lot of those.
Yeah, Alex is saying aquaticarts.com, whatspottropicalfish.com.
Yeah, they're commonly available. They're not hard.
I just want to mention that for people who aren't near Father Fish.
Yeah, any shop that cares to carry them will have them. They are available.
But I will definitely be like a kid in a candy store looking at all the fish, and I'll be like, what do I get? What should I get?
Well, we look forward to your coming. That'll be fun.
I'm hoping to come back with some rocks too to set up as saltwater.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've got a lot of that. Chalupa is saying X had an interesting question about lava rock.
Yeah, he did. Well, I was going to see if Mary wanted, was that the question you saw, Mary?
No, well, that was the next one, but the first one was about the Chinese algae eaters.
What about that?
I missed that one.
Wait a minute, it's at 8:17.
Okay.
And it was from, I think, sorry.
Mike Fritz.
Yes, Mike Fritz at 8:17.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting, isn't it? That and autosynclus. I always have golden Chinese algae eaters. That's a pretty easy one for me to get. The one I have trouble getting is autosynclus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a lot of it depends on who's breeding what in
That's
what
funny.
region.
I can get the autosynclus here.
That's when I froze.
I know, it's odd, isn't it? Well, there was a period of time when they were not available. I think they're back now. Um, the whole question, it's an interesting point because it's really true that that some fish that are relatively common in one area may be non-existent or very hard to find in another area. It has a lot. If you're talking in terms of local fish stores, it has everything to do with who they buy their fish from. Um, Not all wholesalers carry all fish. They wholesalers work off of lists too. A wholesaler will buy from an importer or a jobber. Now the wholesaler may be an importer or not a jobber, because a jobber will sell to importer. Will sell to wholesalers, but the wholesaler may very well import. We saw that with Jason. He's not a wholesaler; he's a retailer, but he has imported fish from Europe. I could do that too. I just don't need. I don't need 1,000 golden algae eaters.
No,
So
for sure.
I don't do it. You know,
They're mean fish. Alex said they're mean fish.
they're a mean fish.
I had one.
Yeah, they get big too. They get like 4 inches or so. They get pretty good
I
size.
got about there was that, I guess,
Right.
3 or 4. I took him back to the store and said, "Here, take him. It's picking on my goldfish too much."
Yeah, they'd be all over goldfish, wouldn't they?
He was always going up to my goldfish's tail and like wanting to suck on his tail,
Yeah, they eat the slime.
and it would startle the goldfish. And I just couldn't take it. I was watching him do that repeatedly. I was like, I can't take it anymore. You're gone.
Right. What was the other question, Mary?
Mary, she left.
She's gone. We lost her.
Well, someone named X was asking, would you recommend lava rock for a deep substrate tank? Thinking about mixing lava rock and potting soil because I don't use a filter. And I'm worried too much that potting soil, I don't think I copied the whole thing.
Yeah, you can certainly do it. I do not recommend it, mainly because what it gives you is large areas in which there's no effective fill. Um, you've just got that rock in there, even though it's porous. And as a porous rock, it does a really good job of filtering water. I use lava rock, deep lava rock, in my filters, in my um, in my goldfish ponds.
Mm-hmm. It is just canister filters.
No, they're actually barrels.
Huh.
I have big 50-gallon drums with holes in the side down toward the bottom, and water pumping into it over about a 2 foot uh, depth of lava rock. And it makes a fabulous filter. It's really, really excellent. You got to have it pretty deep. I would not recommend it in substrate in a normal tank. If it's something massive, that would make sense, because that would help to reduce the sheer load of soil and sand. Um, but in a normal size tank, I would not do it personally, um, because it would take away from the amount of actual soil that you could have in there. Now, having said that, it remains porous until it clogs up, and that's kind of the other problem with it. At some point, it's going to clog up. Um, so, I guess my advice would be no, I wouldn't do it. You can certainly do it, and it'll last for a long time, and it'll be effective for a long time.
Sorry, I knocked myself off again.
What's the matter?
Yes. Did we get to the algae question?
I had the one from X, which is the one y'all just did, right?
Yeah, we did. I
And
think
then
his question got chopped off, though.
oh, okay. And then at 8:22, there was a comment.
Alex is saying that the floating plants soak up the nitrates. Didn't you mention one time that takes a long time, though, before they start having an effect on the nitrates?
I think I was really talking more about substrate. Um, all of the above, they all work.
Okay.
I found that having a lot of floating plants in a tank that has very high nitrates, um, it does not work overnight. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
It's a process. It's a process that can literally take months. It doesn't happen quickly, at least not in my experience. Um,
That's what I was thinking you said.
in a very heavily planted tank, it's unlikely you're going to have a nitrate problem.
8:21, Anton asked about internal parasites. I think maybe he said something about coming in on the SOAR plants, maybe? Or how do you treat for internal parasites? Can't talk. Okay.
Oh,
This morning. Sorry, y'all. I hate being late.
No. You just play catch up.
Yeah. T-Bone, there you go.
Tisha's has a follow-up. So 10 plus ember tetras plus some shrimp and a nerite would be nice. What about the rasbora and trumpet snails? I think we're getting greedy.
well, trumpet snails are going to be in the substrate, so you're really not going to have much of an issue with that. That they will be there, but be kind of invisible for the most part. If you're overfeeding, or you're getting a lot of nutrition in there, it'll increase. What's the other? The other issue was more what? I lost it. Roman Chirac is saying I'm collecting eggshells in my kitchen. I grind them in powder using pestle and mortar to add to the soil. I love it. I really like it, Roman. That sounds fabulous.
See, and then there was 8:22. I'm just writing down timestamps since I'm kind of flailing here. 8:22.
My friend saying his LFS has rasboras. I really like rasboras. I like the rasbora hets. That's my favorite one. But there are a number of different rasbora species that are all really very nice fish.
8:22. Oh, it was probably Tisha again. So she said for us, so for my tank size, I'd like to keep one species of fish.
I think she already has rasboras, but I don't think she said.
She wants to add the ember
She
tetras.
has trumpet snails.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry. She said trumpet, which is under my response to that was appropriate. Every time she says that, I think
Rabbit.
I think rabbit snail, yeah. And there's a world of difference between the two.
Yeah.
The rabbit snails are a massive, really a massive snail. They're like 3 inches long.
They are
Um,
so.
yeah, they are wonderful though. They're hardy. Um, that I think they must live forever. They're a very dense shell snail, very hard dense shell, which leads me to believe that they're really a very long lived snail.
And
Everyone's asking, how can you tell if a fish has parasites?
yep.
Ask Alex. Alex,
And
you're getting a lot of activity on here, Alex.
and Anton had asked how to treat for them. How to treat for.
How to treat for parasites? Yeah, it depends entirely on the parasite. Ick is a parasite. You treat for ick with heat, with temperature. It cannot tolerate a temperature of 86 or above. Um, gill flukes are an external parasite, just like, well, ick is sort of external. Ick actually goes through a stage where it's swimming in the water and living in the sand. Um, gill flukes will also drop off and birth babies. So most of the external parasites have a stage where they are either free swimming or are living in the sand. Typically, they spawn in the sand or in the substrate, and the babies then, when they reach a certain point and are able to swim, they come up into the water column and begin looking for a host. So those are all external parasites, which get treated differently. You can treat them either with temperature, as in the case of ick, or with um, a medication in the tank that kills parasites. Um, internal parasites, much like internal worms or a bacterial internal bacterial infections, need to be treated internally, which means you need to get the medication into the fish. And if they have stopped eating because the parasite or the infection has brought them to the point of utter listlessness, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You can try force feeding if it's big enough to do that. A tiny little fish you can't do that with. Um, but those are when you have that kind of problem, you want to treat it internally. Simply dumping medication in the water is not going to do anything to control that kind of problem. And that's not to give you the name of anything. Um, the medications that I use are all um, professional grade medications that are not by and large available on the open market.
Do you want me to show this one that Susan and I showed yesterday from Everything Aquatics?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting, wasn't it?
Everything Aquatics, and this is an anti-parasitic duo.
Yeah, there are various foods that are
Yeah,
anti-parasitic or antibacterial.
I see it.
Again, if the fish is eating, that'll work.
Right.
So
And
you
then
can
without
typically, yeah, you can buy medicated foods, and that's really a good way to get the medication into the fish. If it's an internal problem, if it's external, that doesn't make sense to do that particularly. Um, Although presumably the medication would get into the fish's body to the edge of its skin and perhaps drive off, but it's not treating it directly. you can treat topically. It is possible with certain parasites like gill flukes or worms that attach to the side of the fish. Yeah, you can treat those topically. You can actually go in and physically remove them from the fish. I've done that over and over again. And a lot of the leech type parasites can be removed pretty easily. If you just tease them a little bit, they'll let go and try to get away. And then you can dab a little bit of disinfectant on the fish at the wound, um, if it's a raw spot, to give it a chance to heal. So, it depends entirely on what the problem is. If the problem is an external parasite, I really like to try to treat the fish individually rather than try to treat the tank. Now, having said that, if you've got it on a number of fish, then you have an infestation in the aquarium that needs to be dealt with. Simply removing a worm from a fish isn't do much good if you've got 3 or 4 or more fish in the tank with those worms attached. If you do, you have an infestation. It's pretty unusual for that to occur. It's not a common situation. Um, it would only occur if you've let things go for a long period of time without any kind of treatment at all. And that's not typically the case. If you're seeing something for the first time and are concerned about it, my best advice is don't go to extremes to deal with it.
Yeah.
Research it, try to find out what it is. Uh, there's a lot of information online. There's a lot more available on the various channels. A lot of you are asking Alex questions about such things. He spent a lot of time and effort looking into these. I have not. My time and effort has been spent on dealing with the kinds of things that come in through the door. And frankly, I get very little of that because I try to be careful about buying fish from sources that are treating fish as they come in to remove things like parasites.
That's
One of
what
the
I.
one
Yeah.
of the common treatments is salt. Salt will cause a lot of parasites to drop off a fish. It'll kill a lot of parasites. Um, it's important to know how much salt to use. You don't want to use you don't want to use a lot. You don't want to put um, a cup of salt in a 10-gallon tank. That would kill every fish in it, provided they're freshwater fish.
Right. And a
So
Fishmore had said, do medicated foods work as preventative maintenance, essentially, or would that be silly? Because I know a lot of people, like, they have that quarantine period and they'll just treat everything from the get-go before they ever put them in their tanks. But because, well, a lot of us are getting fish from different sources too, especially if you're going to a big box store or something like that. You don't know what you're going to get into. You recommend that?
where were you? Give me a timestamp on
That
that.
was at 8:42. Just still sticking with the medicated food subject. Fishmar, 8:42.
Yeah, he's saying I've never had
Yeah,
disease in his tanks. Do medicated foods
yeah,
work as preventative
Alex.
maintenance? No,
Thank
that's a reasonable thing to do. I would not do it. I would not do it as a daily dose, um, but to use medicated food prophylactically, I think is a reasonable thing to do, particularly if you've got new fish coming in that you may or may not be sure about. It does demonstrate the importance of quarantine, and there are lots of good hobbyists who quarantine everything that comes into their fish room for upwards, for upwards of a month. Um, and in order to see whether there is a problem. Let's see, levamisole, Alex is saying, absorbed via the water that fish drink. It's an osmo regulator, as it osmo regulates. So it's the last and strongest course of action. It easily becomes toxic. Excuse me. And that's really the issue with a lot of medications. A lot of the medications that are commonly sold for this or that problem are toxic to um, microscopic life, toxic to beneficial bacteria. They're toxic to a balanced tank. They may be fine if you've got a sterile system that you're putting stuff in and changing the water out routinely. Um, Typically, I find if you want to treat a fish, the best way to do it is remove it to a hospital tank, preferably a bear tank, and treat it there. That way, you're not toxifying your entire system. You're also removing as much of the problem as that fish is carrying to a situation where it can be dealt with separately from your tank. It's always a good idea to have a hospital tank and to use it. Excuse me, to use it to isolate fish that are having problems, not just problems with sickness, maybe problems with aggression, problems with not eating well. There are any number of things that can happen to a fish in a community tank that would be beneficial to that fish if it were isolated for a time. Give it a chance to build up. Um, a lot of people will isolate female live bears or egg layers for that matter if they have utterly depleted themselves in the process of laying eggs or giving birth. Uh, it often is very beneficial to take them out and put them in a separate tank and feed them special foods to kind of get their get their energy and their system built back up so that they can be strong and viable again. So the isolation tank is a very beneficial and a very helpful system. Excuse me. I don't know. Uh,
Are you okay?
yeah, I'm okay. Didn't get it down this morning. I need to
Well,
drink
T-Bone and James
Well, when you
talked
have a
about
break,
eating so weird. I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to try to ask you a question when you came
Yeah.
to a pause.
Sure.
Um, Building on the why you don't deal with fish disease, I was wondering, like, you treat your fish coming into your stores differently than like other people do, and I was just wondering if you could go into that a little bit, how you treat fish coming into your store and why you're not dealing with disease very much, if at
Well,
all.
I buy from Segrist Farms. Um, I do not buy very much from other wholesalers. I buy from breeders who I trust. Breeders who are not raising fish out in ponds, but are raising them in observation tanks, where they know what's going on with the fish. So I'm real careful about where I buy fish. Now, Segrest has a system for fish when they come in that essentially purges the fish. Um, they do not feed their fish; they purge them. in most cases, that is effective. If they're getting fish in, for example, that have been on farms that are boxed up and shipped out, those fish, if they're carrying parasites, they use heavily salted water. They use other medication injection system in each of their systems, so they're able to purge the fish of both any food they've got in them, as well as any parasites they have on them. So by the time I get them, saltwater or freshwater, I've been dealing with them now for 15, 20 years, I guess, 20 years. And in 20 years, I have never gotten a fish that had a parasite or a bacterial infection. I have occasionally gotten fish that had ick, um, due to the carelessness of the person packaging them, not recognizing that. Um, the other issue is with them, I get those fish within a few hours of them being bagged. They're delivered. I'm on the top of the list, the delivery list. So when the truck goes out, I'm the first stop. I'm like 40 miles down the road,
Mhm.
and I get my fish about 7 in the morning. They've changed their procedures recently. They used to bag up at night, which means those fish would be in the bag no more than a few hours. Now they're bagging up the late afternoon before, so they could be in the bag upwards of 16, 18 hours. I'm not as thrilled about that, but I'm not having a problem yet with it. The only thing I've really had a problem with has been the blackworms, because they really can't tolerate being in a bag for any real length of time. So that is to say, I'm buying fish that have been treated, um, and presumably treated effectively. Again, I've not run into problems. If I have if I have problem here in my tanks, it'll show up 3 or 4 days after the fish comes in, and I'll be able to trace it to a problem in my tank, and not to a problem that the fish have brought in. So I don't mean to speak well of a major corporation, but nevertheless, they seem to do a good job, and that's the only reason I stick with them. They've got a good variety. I can get stuff that's hard to get, and it comes in good condition. They also back up anything they ship. If I have a problem, if a fish comes in dead in the bag, they replace it or give me credit. So it depends who you buy from.
Right.
Now, also, as to native fish, I do bring native fish in. They are in a completely separate system from the rest of my fish. If they have survived in that system for an extended period of time, they may get moved over. And by that I mean several months, 2, 3, 4 months. Then they may get mixed in with the general population. But by and large, I don't do that. When I get wild caught fish in, they go in a separate system that none of my other uh, store bought fish are in. What else we got?
If it's getting
So
close
you
to
don't really.
daytime,
So
your fishy has got something for you that
She
might take
did.
us into our break
at 8:53, yeah.
at 8:53. You might want to check it.
She says she made a commercial for you. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
Here, oh dear, this will be fun.
that's what I said. That's why I was sitting over here laughing. Sorry.
Let's get it up and take a look. Is it there? I got it. Need to get it loaded here. Here, Fishy. Now, this is the gal who did the
Yeah,
my
the
work.
Baltimore song or your Yellow
Yeah.
Submarine.
Yeah, exactly. What you really need in your aquarium hobby. It's had 4 views, so we are the first general viewing audience here.
Good.
Up. All right.
It's muted.
Coffee.
Let me
So
start
long
it over.
overdue. Without further ado.
Here we go. Is it on? I haven't got it on. Okay.
Here, coffee, coffee, coffee. So long overdue. Without further ado.
Oh my.
The unboxing of the number one thing you can get for your fish keeping hobby. The coveted Father Fish mug.
Oh, my.
There's a spot there where you can go and buy amazing fish and other things that you need. Nothing you don't. Anyway,
I think it does.
Your address.
I wanted to thank Aquarium Cop because he gifted Father Fish the money to pick some other shoal to give some free mugs to, and I really lucked out, and I'm so excited. I haven't gotten to this yet because I've been trying to sell my house and buy another house, and that's just made me freaking insane. Okay, first I want to say I love his handwriting because it looks strangely like my grandfather's. So that's awesome. We're going to go ahead and open it up. Better than Christmas.
Oh my.
Let's do it. No messing around. He taped it good though. Good father.
I can't believe a tiny fish tank.
Mercy.
A little fish.
Wasn't that hard to
Yeah,
put it
this
on?
pregnant mama back here checking it out because she loves Father Fish. So
I love that bowl.
Mama. Yes.
You did a great
There
job
he
unboxing
is.
that. There's Tom.
Fish himself.
Complete with halo. Look at that.
See that?
T-bone.
Okay. Mug
That's lovely.
ready. Fun.
Nice.
Even more excitement. I love it. Father Fish stickers.
That is neat.
I saw the fish in the
Beginning.
background. That was just floating there. I was like,
Yeah,
where's
it's
the
got
fish
the
tank?
little square bowl.
Yeah.
No,
It's all
Get any
green.
better than so.
Yeah.
If you would love this fabulousness for a gift for yourself, treat yourself, you can email fatherfish at fatherfish.net. And the mugs are $25. That includes shipping if you are in the States. If not, you can still get one. You'll just have to pay for shipping. So just go ahead, email our great fish oracle.
Well, Father Fish, I sent Mary the new design yesterday.
Oh,
I'm
wonderful.
hoping we can get mugs made for it
Yeah.
as well.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Bye for now.
Lovely.
Bye, Father Fish.
Lovely.
Damn, I
Is
need to
she-
drink coffee.
And love that tank. You need to get a close up on that little
I
thing.
do too. I do too. Yeah.
I was just confused because I'm like, why is there a fish floating in air?
Okay, this is all we got.
Because it didn't look like a tank.
Oh my goodness. You have to get your hands on this.
Cheers.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Let's see. I want to.
Good
I'll
morning,
do that.
Love Club.
Was that her thumbnail? She
Yeah.
did check out the thumbnail.
No, I didn't get the thumbnail. I got her. I went to her channel. The link took us to her channel. Okay, I'm gonna put. Let's see. You know what I want to do? Not this.
Me too, T-Bone.
Not this.
I know, it's T-Bone. Just
What's
worked out
T-Bone?
BRB.
Dirty little man. What's he talking about? Here, let's put her song up. Here we go. All right. Back in a minute,
In the
guys.
town of Baltimore lived a man of the sea, and he told us of his life in the land by Chesapeake. So we searched up on YouTube till we found his tank so clean. And we smiled, we found our way on Father Fish's fun life stream. We all love Father Fish's great life stream. He keeps his tank so clean, the plants they are so green. We all love his fluffy beard, it is so white. His eyes they are so bright, he always keeps it tight. And our friends are all aboard. Many more of them, will they still snore? But they'll watch him on replay. Do 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 do. We all love Father Fish's great life stream. His tanks they are so clean, the plants they are so green. We all love his fluffy beard, it is so white. He always keeps it tight. His eyes are so bright. As we live the life fishy. Everyone!
There he's gone. All right. Where are we?
She'll be right back. She needed to take a short break.
Yeah, that was a little shorter than I thought.
It was short.
Yeah, really sweet though. That's wonderful. I really appreciate. You know what I didn't do? I need to go back and do it. I need to save that that unboxing. Let's
Maybe
see,
that
where-
can be our break at 9:00.
Oh, that was our 9 o'clock break. In fact, it's 9:05. So I didn't do. We need to go back and we're on break. All right. There she. Oh, she just went away. Okay. We're
Mary will
good.
be back. But before your break, someone
Yes.
was
I'm back.
asking, who was it? I don't remember who it was.
What they ask and Mike can find.
About having
Oh.
cold water fish. How do you treat ick when you have cold water fish?
Yeah, very good question. Well, I was just thinking about uh, what that means. That would be like high purposes. Well, a lot of the darters, like the Tennessee darters, Virginia darters, sticklebacks, a lot of the sticklebacks, fish that you would be likely to have in your tank that are cold water fish um, that do get ick. I mean, that's where ick is from. You're kind of stuck with treating chemically or medically. I would use salt initially. Um, you could get some ick out and treat with that. These are harsher chemicals. One thing that can be done that is effective, again with a quarantine tank, if you will remove all of the fish from the tank, if you have an ick infestation and a number of fish in the tank have ick, take all of them out. And I'll get to why in a minute. Take all of them out, put them in a quarantine tank, treat them, and then leave them out for at least 2 weeks, preferably for a month. The parasites that are still in the original tank will die. If by doing that, you will not need to treat your biological system. Without a host, the baby fish, as they come up out of the sand looking for a host, without a host, they die. I don't remember what the length of time is, but it seems to me it's like 2 weeks. But I said 2 weeks to a month. I know it's not longer than a month. By leaving the tank fallow with no fish in it for 2 weeks minimum, that should allow all of the ick parasites that are in there to die off. And you can then put your fish back in without getting a further infestation. If that doesn't work, then just try it again with a little longer. The trick to doing that, of course, is to have a large enough and a stable enough environment to put them in. And you want to do it bare bottom. And you want to, because you're going to be putting treatment in there. Once the ick is cured, then you need to do water changes and that. Typically, you can put them back, but if the tank is infested, it's going to take about 2 weeks for that process to come to an end, for them to die out.
Patrick is saying father fish, you can raise the temperature for goldfish up to like 86 degrees. I was wondering though about other fish maybe that could not tolerate that temperature.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why I suggested what I did.
Yeah.
Fish like sticklebacks, like some of the northern darters, they really cannot tolerate that warm temperature. They might tolerate it for a day or two. You might be able to get away with it for a very short time. Uh, if you're willing to risk them by kicking up the temperature to 86, in 2 days, the ick will be gone, and you can drop it back down again. You never want to do that instantly, though. You never want to do that by either adding hot water to get it up very quickly or ice cubes to get it down very quickly. You want to do it gradually because the fish have to be able to adjust in either direction to that.
Yeah, Alex is saying 10 to 14 days should be safe.
Yeah. 6 days after hatching can be an egg, 3 to 4 days. So, yeah, 10 to 14 days. Yeah, 2 weeks should be safe.
And Joey says that father fish, you can raise goldfish to 86 degrees. I know it's hard to believe that they can take it, just don't
They
do it
absolutely can. They cannot tolerate it long term. We don't have many goldfish farms here in Florida, although that's beginning to change. There are strains of fish that have been adapted to warmer temperatures, and so we're getting more of the super fancy goldfish that are surviving to breeding in Florida, um, and allowing us to be able to raise babies in warmer temperatures. So that's really a big deal because it allows the farmers back here to expand into into tropicals that are frankly much more profitable. Um,
Susan made a comment too right below that one. Oh, hello, Aqua.
where are you?
It was right under the one I just. Okay, she's
Is
at
it a different
99.
comment? Alex is saying when you kick up your temperature, you need to add an air stone.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
need to add an additional air stone if you already have one in there.
Well, make sure you've got one. Make sure you've got some moving water. If you're increased temperature results in fish with increased respiration, so they're going to be using more O2 than would be normal for that system. So simply turning the water over quicker will allow more CO2 O2 exchange to occur at the surface. Again, putting air in the tank, putting an air stone in the tank does not in and of itself put oxygen in the water. It brings the water to the surface where that CO2 O2 exchange can occur. And again, the bubbles do provide a certain amount of surface as such, as a bubble, as air. So there is some exchange that goes on there. But the bulk of the exchange is occurring at the surface. So you want to be able to move the water to get it to the surface in a more expeditious manner in order to be able to increase the O2 level in the tank. And I see Aqua
I know.
Funky here. Hello,
I'm
Aqua Funk.
responding to him. He goes, I never, never, never have ick issues except when I get tetras. If I get a tetra, it will die an icky death. And I was responding, going, or about to. Every time I think about getting a tetra, I see a comment like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on, here we go again.
Well, it's really a matter of seeing it, and I'm to the point where my eyes don't see it anymore. I mean, I don't see the little tiny white dots on the fish. I can look at a fish. Normally, I could see it walking by a tank. I do what? There it
What's
is. Now I wait until the fish is showing is lethargic or clam finned or showing obvious signs of stress, and that's when I get in there and oh my God, look at that! It's got ick. And what's that? Oh my God! Every fish in the tank is completely covered in ish. And what's that at the top? There are fish up there floating. They're dead. Oh my God, what happened here? Well, what happened has been going on for probably a week, and you didn't notice it
Right.
because you got bad eyes. So
Or you don't know what to look for.
yeah, what you want to do is get yourself a magnifying so you can see this stuff. You got to be able to see it. I have a friend who's 82 years old, and he's nearly blind, and he has a big magnifying glass in front of his tank, and that's how he looks at all his fish. And by God, he keeps clean fish and very healthy fish. He's raising discus and doing extremely well at it. But boy, you got to pay attention, and that's really the key to ick. If it gets past you, and it reaches the point where there are secondary issues like lethargy, clam fin, shimmy, and the like, you've lost the battle. No, you're going to lose half of your fish once it reaches that point. Just think about this for a minute. Uh, uh, what's Alex saying here? Saying they
Oh, there was a question about fires. Was that he was responding to T-Bone?
Yeah, healthy
Unless you
fish
did another
have
one.
to protect them from have slime coats to protect them from low ick. And here's the thing: think about this. You get one ick parasite. One comes in, who knows how, who knows where, but it gets in there. Just one, and it attaches to a fish, and you never see it, nor are you ever likely to see it. And it drops off, and it goes down into the sand, and it self fertilizes and becomes 244 little tiny ick parasites, or whatever the number is. It's a big number like that. Then all of those little buggers come up out of the water and look for hosts. And that's where you need to see it, right there. They will attach to the host. They will begin sucking on the host. A lot of the fish will not show signs of it. As Alex explained, they're healthy, strong, vibrant fish. They've got a good slime coat. The little parasites can't get through that slime coat to get into them, to bore into them. But there are always going to be one or two fish, or three or four, that are weaker fish, and they'll get into them. And within one day, one full day, you'll start seeing little tiny white spots. Those little tiny white spots are not the ick parasite. They are the waste from the ick parasite. The ick parasite is an external parasite that bores into the fish and it gets down under the scales. It has to get under the scales in order to reach the level of depth that allows them to be in the midst of fishy fluids. They are omega 3 thrivers, and they begin just sucking in and absorbing and drinking all of these fluids from the fish until they become fully gutted. Now, they are pooping out their waste in the process of doing that. The waste goes out through the channel that they came in, and when it hits the water, it crystallizes, it hardens, and forms a little crust. And that's what you see. You see that little crust. That's a sign the fish has parasites in it. There's nothing you can do at that point to get that parasite out of the fish. Absolutely nothing. You have to wait for it to come out, and then it'll either hit toxins that you put in the water that kill it and every other little living thing, or they will feel the water getting warm. They feel the fish getting warm, and they don't like that. Now, that's what you can do to get them to come out. You heat the water, you increase the temperature, so the fish they're living in is getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and they don't like that. They don't like that at all. So they wiggle out, they come out that little hole they created, and they, whew, boy, good to get out of there. And then, uh-oh, the whole water is warm. Oh no. And they kind of spin around, and they fall to the bottom, and they die. And that's how you get rid of it.
It's
However,
a cold water fish.
right, saltwater too works for saltwater as well. Chalupa says, I despise ick even more after this description. They are vampires. They are, after all,
Yeah.
a vampire. We should all
Vampires are
fear.
real.
Roar! Suck the juices right out of you. If you get too many, if it's gone through a second or a third life cycle, the life cycle takes like 48 hours, well, 72 hours. It's a day to hatch, a day to swim, a day to be attached, a day to drop. It's like 3 to 4 days in the cycle. So by the end of 1 week, by the end of 1 week, multiply 244 times 244, and you get a big number. You get all of those little buggers gone into the fish, and now it's not one or two or three or four spots. It's 20 or 30 or 100, and it's too much. And it overwhelms the fish. It gets so much of its fluids out, it can no longer survive, and there's nothing you can do to save it. It will die. So it's critical to catch this. That's the problem. If you don't catch it, you lose everything. You've got to catch it. If you catch it, you can kill it. It's easy to deal with. You simply put a heater in the tank and raise the temperature for 2 days. 2 days, that's all you really need. You can keep it up 3 or 4, won't hurt anything, but 2 days is critical. In 2 days, that parasite is dropped off, it's died, it's the ones that have hatched are in the water column, they're dead. You got no more ick in there. It's gone. But you got to catch it. If you don't catch it, it can easily be too late, all gone, and you lose everything. Thank you,
There
Alex.
was a
Thank you, Alex, for your adjunct to this conversation about ick. Absolutely
yes.
on target.
We had, I know we've discussed it before, but somebody did mention like the UV sterilizers in an ick situation, like using it for an ick situation. Is it effective at all?
Sure
Since they
it
are,
is. Sure it
okay,
is. But here's the problem. It's effective with the water that goes through the device.
right.
It doesn't radiate the water. It draws water into a tube
It
in
has to
which
pass
there's
through.
this long light, and as the water goes by, that 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 light kills parasites, bacteria, whatever. But it doesn't get 100% of the water that's in the tank. It'll do a very good job. It'll control it. It'll limit it, and it can limit it kind of indefinitely. But at some point, you're going to need to do something about it if it persists. Now, leaving uh, an infrared light on 24/7 in your tank also works, and it's really effective. The problem with that is it's effective against everything. Everything microscopic gets killed by it. And so you wind up with a relatively sterile water column. And that's not healthy either in a balanced tank.
Right.
So you can use it, but you need to be able to use it in a limited context and use it in conjunction with heat or salt or whatever other kind of treatment you're doing. I found that a lot of people will use it in salt water, and it's very effective in salt water. But it's only effective in the sense that it is sustaining a relatively uh, biologically sterile environment, which I don't find beneficial to maintaining a really healthy system. So there's that.
That was great. Looks like we've got a story time, Cass.
I know, maybe Alex is saying UV kills lots of beneficial beneficial critters as well.
It absolutely does. Absolutely does.
I wish I could talk. Sorry.
It's all right. We're all having problems this
You're right.
morning.
We're all
Can't get
doing
the
all right.
words out.
We're doing all right. We're doing just fine here. Suck the life right out of your fish, says Joey. Yes, they do. Nasty little buggers.
Yeah, I think we had to talk about UV. I guess know when to use it. Don't use it all the time.
Yeah, we've been over this a couple of times, but it bears repeating, and it bears repeating in detail. I mean, we have people on here now who were not on here last month who
Mhm.
have not heard this. So
Right.
it's important if some of you are sitting there and feel, oh, well, I know about that. Why did we talk about that? And I remember talking about that 6 months ago. Well, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. And since then, you're about the only one who's left. Everybody else here is brand new, so they haven't heard it. So just you know,
Bear with
go
us.
go get a cup of coffee. We'll be with you in a minute. Mary, are you
Some of us
okay?
need reminding.
Yeah, that was my son-in-law. We were talking about the UV. He just asked me because I do have a small one that's like a green killing machine, and I don't, whether it's effective or not. But it's a little thing that you clip on to the actual outtake. I was going to take it off, but it's all soaking wet. But it's a little clip-on to the outtake of your
Hang on back.
Yeah, your hang-on back filter. Thank you, Cassie.
I say
But I
HOB. My husband doesn't know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But like Father Fish says, all the water has to pass through that little unit for it to be effective. And who knows if it really is. Maybe on a bigger system it would be, but on this little thing, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things. Oh man.
It's helpful. It's ancillary. People will use it very often in ponds
How do I
because,
get
because it also kills green algae. So it's a way to
Right.
clear a pond of green algae.
Yeah.
But keep in
Salt
mind
would
when
help
you're doing that, when you're doing that, you're creating a lot of dead material. And that dead material is having an effect as well. So by and large, UV lights are a quick fix, but they can create long-term problems. Let's see. Alex has got a comment here about bettas.
Why am I
He's saying bettas prefer a pH of 7.0 or lower. I find I keep mine most effectively in RO water, so it's like 7 or low TDS, 7 or lower. When that as that water, because I have a big system, as that water gets really old, as happened recently, I wind up losing fish, so I have to drain it down and redo it. I also, however, will occasionally move fish that is into one of my community tanks, and they tend to do extremely well. And that's a higher pH. It's like 7.5 with a higher TDS of 200 or so. These are also fish that tend to be fish that are raised in a slightly higher TDS. They're not raised in soft acid water. They're raised in more neutral to harder alkaline water. But they will do well there. No question, but that bettas are a shallow water fish that lives in rain drenched environments that have low TDH and low pH, and that's their natural environment. They
TDS?
have, however, been bred in captivity for generations after generations. So they do have more flexibility.
What's TDH? Do you mean TDS?
TDS, I'm sorry. Total
What was
the new
dissolved
one?
salt. Total
Somebody-
dissolved hardness. Right.
straw?
Yeah.
What was that about straw? Wait a minute. There was one more thing. Oh, Ward Dunlap says, why does adding straw kill green algae? Is that to a pond situation, I'm assuming, maybe?
Yeah, it creates Daphne that
Okay,
eats
and then they
green
eat
algae.
it. That
Sure.
makes. My son-in-law was standing beside me listening to the conversation, and he was loving it. And then he asked me about mine that was up there. That's why I was standing up and doing all that.
My
But he-
takeaway after the last time Father Fish explained it was, I'm not going to use a UV filter.
Yeah,
Did
but
we answer? Did we go into that?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not talking about straw. I really like straw, and it does bring more infusoria into the system that 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 consumes green algae. So it's really the solution to green algae.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how are we doing here?
We're there, Father Fish.
Yep.
We're
32.
at 9:30. Yeah, let's give it a rest for a few hours. We'll
we
be
had a
back
good
at 6,
conversation, though.
everybody.
It was
Say
a great
what?
conversation.
We didn't get the lights up, so if you haven't hit that like, do
Yeah.
that now.
Let's see. Oh gosh, we got 45 watching and 38 likes. Y'all hit that like button.
Yeah, let's get a few more likes before we take off here and fly through the day. We're going to be back on at 6 o'clock. So we'll be joining you and lots of other friends this afternoon for an hour. Be delightful to have you.
Yes, we're getting some new people in. That's always
Yeah, we're
great.
getting lots of new people coming in.
And some of our
That's
old
right.
people that we've missed that's missed us in the morning. So
Yeah, I wonder if people are moving to the evening now. They're like, oh, good, I don't have to listen in the morning. Father Fish is on in the
Well,
evening.
maybe. Well, particularly those people on the West Coast that have to
Right.
get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to catch us.
Like
And
Alex.
that's a little, you know, all praise and honor to Alex for being here with us.
thank
It
you,
is
Alex.
Yes,
6
we love
o'clock
it.
in the morning, where
We love
he's
that
been
you're
up all night probably. So
Mhm.
thank you so much, Alex, for being with us this morning. You have been of inestimable value, and we deeply appreciate you. So,
That's a
everybody,
great
see
comment.
you all. See you all at 6 o'clock. Let's get a
I'll be
little
lurking.
tuned up here. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good day. Bye.
Let's talk about you, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
Bye bye, everybody. Delightful to be
Hey,
with you.
Lisa. Thanks for joining, Lisa.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish.
Did Lee re-record that?
Lee recorded it and sent it to Aquatic Conquest, who mixed it with the music.
Yeah.
I think Lee recorded it on 2 channels, some such thing. Really well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's up to the game. He's doing really good. I don't see him on here this morning.
Now, he's struggling with his new medication.
I don't see Aquatic Conquest either.
Now I have another. All right, Jets is coming up at 10 o'clock. Log into Jets.
And thank you, Susan, too. He was here today.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
More.